So guys saw my recent video of this, I thought it was a troll, or no, it was just someone messing around, you know, one of my fans, or, I mean, I honestly don't know. They were just messing around. You guys could mess with the pal, you know, it's cool, we love you guys. So, this is before the documentary. This blog is going to be before the doc. This is a very special blog, you know. This is how Traped met Hampao, and how the documentary was discussed, and how we talked about the documentary, how we gonna film it, the #1 film that y'all enjoyed, and how y'all met me. Way back, Traped, which y'all know is Joel right now, and Joel, I grew up with Joel. Joel used to live here on Hilton Head Island. I went to the Hilton Head Christian Academy with Joel. We were little kids. We were like middle schooler, but he came in middle school, and I was in middle school as well. He wasn't there way back in the day, but when I met Joel way back in the day in middle school, like 6th grade and 5th grade actually, 5th grade, I was planning on a YouTube channel, which it was this channel, Hampao93, and I had a little video camera, and Joel knew I was getting into the YouTube community, and he knew my background and shit, and I was a very self-centered person. I would easily go back and delete all my old videos. That's which #1 I regret. So when I was way younger and first started off my YouTube channel, I would be like self-centered, and I would get embarrassed of myself all the time. I remember my very first troll, Moon Man, Brown Man 2. I had a lot of trolls, because the shit that we used to do way back in the day, they were plain retarded. I mean, the retardedest thing you guys could find on YouTube. And I would delete them because I got embarrassed, which I regret, because I'm a different person. I'm more open ever since after the documentary, because I've learned about you're destroying history, my man. And when we would joke around in class all the time. I mean, me and Joel, we were the class clowns, and a lot of other people. We were the top dogs in school. Then Joel left Hilton Head. He moved away. I'm not gonna say the reason why he moved away. Personal business. Things went on, and Joel just disappeared. I mean, we had our phone numbers, but I changed my phone number in towards the end of middle school and shit, and I was like, in the year 2012, Joel filmed the documentary of the Gothic King Cobra. I never knew who the Gothic King Cobra was, and I didn't even knew that Joel opened his own YouTube channel. He created his own YouTube channel, so he was around, but Joel would be watching me. I thought Joel was just a good friend, and he left the school and I will never see him again. He was just a friend that came and go, you know. Friends just come and go. That's how I at first thought of Joel. So I moved on with my life, and the year 2011, and with personal issues, y'all know about my young childhood, which I sometimes don't like talking about, but my whole molestation, you know, I get embarrassed a lot of it. I get very skeptical about it, and I sometimes don't like talking about it and shit, but y'all know, I know that it happened, you know. So the serious part is, like, I mean, Traped, Joel had no idea that shit was going on. I kept that to myself, and I was angry throughout my whole life about it, but I didn't even know how to express it, you know, because I was just a kid. I was mad. I was like, fuck society and shit. And I misbehaved in 8th grade and got in trouble and went sent to the public school. I was put in a self-contained special ed classroom. I went from being the most top dog in school at the Hilton Head Christian Academy, top dog, to a very special autistic child. Blink of an eye. So I was talking about it and I was like thinking about it. Why these things happen? And in 2011, I was on this road trip with it was me and my father. We were going to my sister's house because her husband was moving into a bigger house, and it was a beautiful house. So we were helping him move on the way. It was like 5 hours from North Carolina into here. So I told my dad, I think I know why I was a hard ass in elementary school, middle school, and now in high school. Because I was molested as a kid, Dad. And my dad turned his head and was like, he was just like, probably, I mean, the look on his face was just like surprising me. It's like surprising. I mean, this is hard for me. And just seeing my dad's face and be able to see, I mean, I could read people's faces and I could see that's why my son was acting the way he was. He was mad at the world. He was embarrassed of himself. And I would explain everything what was going on. And I'm tough, but right now I'm soggy. But that's okay, we keep it moving. But then after I explained everything what was going on, I told my mom about it. And my mom, I explained that we were at the Predator's house. It was his graduation, and my mom told me that's why I heard moaning, because he didn't pay attention, because the Predator did not pay attention to his high school graduation party. He would be like, I was locked up in his room, and he would go in and out, get food, hang out, talk with his friends and shit. Came back, things went down, fucked me in the ass, fucked me in the mouth. Whatever opening I had, he did it. And it was hard to be able to tell my parents that. Then my mom was like, I heard moaning coming out of that room. And the Predator's mother even heard it. So things fall into places, you know. Things did come into places. And then the year 2013, I mean, I had to go to therapy and shit, which therapy was not help. I don't believe in therapists and stuff. But 2013, my mom and I sat down again and like, we need to report this to law enforcement. So we did, and the detectives went to his house, and they questioned him. He denied everything, and he got away everything. It's just like, this is when you gotta learn, you gotta forgive people and move on, because God, you gotta understand this. Jesus Christ, God in my heart, He been with me ever since. And I could see that, because I could have killed myself, because I was totally a different person. But then, if you ask Traped, Joel, what was I like? I was a hard ass, I was angry all the time. I would have killed myself. Another suicide happened. You're just another name in this suicide notebook. Why things happen. But without God, I'm here. You know? But after that, after we made the police report and everything died down, the Predator's parents had the nerves to drive to my mom's business and wanted to talk about it and discussed about it. In early 2015, I had no idea Traped was watching my channel still. I had no idea. We lost contact. So this is now where the documentary was introduced, and how everything came together, how I am today. The day I was off, he came by Publix, wrote his phone number, his name, handed to one of the cashiers, our customer service representatives, and was like to pass it on to me. So my next day, I came in to work, and I got paged, and I went to customer service, and they handed it to me, and I was like, what is this? Then I see the name and the phone number. I was like, Joel, oh my gosh. And it had like a note, but I don't know where that piece of paper is at now. I called the number, and it was Joel, and I mean, we had to catch up. We were on the phone for hours. We were catching up. I was like, I thought I'd never hear from you again. I was like wondering, wow, you still remember me. So we were talking about YouTube. We were talking about shit. We were just talking about catching up on how was your high school and how was your middle school. How was you graduate? Yeah, I graduated. Yeah, hell yeah, we graduated. So after that, then Joel calls me back like a week later, I think. A week later or 2 weeks later, because he's a busy guy, you know. You always got to work in this country. You got to work to earn a living, you know. So I was like, just like talking, and Joel was like, hey Hamilton, what would you say if I do a documentary on you and your brother? I mean, he didn't say those exact words, but all I just remember was we were talking about a documentary about it will be so cool if the world is able to see you guys, because you already have a YouTube channel, and your YouTube channel is very small. I mean, my YouTube channel was very tiny. I had a lot of trolls, and I would get embarrassed. I was some brat on YouTube, and that was Ham Pow. So we were talking about, because we were talking about it. At first, I was like very like shy about a documentary. I was like, because back then, I was very self-centered. I was very close. I would not want. Oh no! Why would I do a documentary? Why? Who would want to see a retard? Who would want to see a loser? I was like, I had that attitude for the longest time. So I was like, Then I was like, I asked Hudson about it, and I was like, should we do it? I mean, because usually I don't do documentaries. I don't want people to do a documentary of me. But ever since I knew Joel, and he was a good guy, I was like, sure, what the hell? Let's do it. So we planned a time when he came back to Hilton Head. It took a couple weeks of filming. He came back with his camera and his computer. This was like a legit. I was like, whoa, that's a really nice camera. I would think it was a Nikon. It was a professional camera. It was like a Nikon camera, similar to this one what I have right now. I had this gut in my feeling. I was like, oh, we're doing a documentary. I had that negative attitude about it, but I was like, let's do it, because Joel is my best friend, and he loves us a lot, and I think I inspired him to start a YouTube channel, because when I first met him, he didn't have a YouTube channel. I did. And like a couple years down the road, or like 5 years down the road, he had one, which is Trait. Or probably he had a different account, but he didn't upload videos. I mean, maybe he did have a YouTube channel, but it was like an archive channel. He would take other people's content and do that kind of stuff. But it was his first was where he literally made films, was on his Trapped channel, and at the time he worked with a TV company, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, because I don't want them to see this and like sue me. He did film editing for a TV station. He did film session here on Hilton Head, Fuel, which I know the guy Sean, he owned Fuel, but that store moved to Colorado. There's no longer Fuel a store here, but Fuel was a outdoor store, and it had like biking, surfing, skateboards. It's like a skate shop, but it was like Fuel was his own brand. It was literally a brand. That's a better way to sum it up. Fuel was a brand, and Joel did some film work for him, and then he went to a TV company, and he did some film work for them, and then he did the documentary for us on his own YouTube channel, Trait, and then the documentary was filmed, you know? But Joel had no idea about my situation between me and my predator, you know? The whole molestation thing was going on, because I really didn't talk about it because the predator burned it in my head if this imaginary person called Kid Buu would come and kill you. Kid Buu was a Dragon Ball Z character. Ruined that movie for me. That TV series, Dragon Ball Z, ruined it for me, and would come and haunt me and kill me. I believed that, but now I'm not afraid of that. I mean, it is what it is. But I remember we were talking about it, and we were at Compass Rose Park, Station Hampao. It was at night, and when we were filming, I mean, I talked about it with Joel before we started filming. Before we started, like when we had the scenes in the documentary where I talked about it, I talked to him about it off camera before, because I don't want him to like drop the camera or like be blasted. I just briefly talked about it and just say, do you think it's appropriate for me to mention this in a documentary? Because I know on YouTube they're very, very sexual monitoring, and I don't want to get this documentary deleted or removed from YouTube. So I would just talk to Joel for advice about that, about what kind of things you got to you display on the channel. And Joel was like shocked. Joel was like, what the fuck? You serious? All this time when in middle school when we were hanging out, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you talk about it? But we were like, Joel was like, it's really hard for me to explain, but it was like Joel was like, wow, well, I didn't say anything about it. I wanted to beat his ass. Let's go, and I want to fight this dude. I really do. I really want to know where he's at. But I told him that the predator, he was friends with my older brother, and my older brother, and my parents and his parents were best friends, and ever since then it was just like it really destroyed me and my brother, and it really shooked Joel. So Joel was like, yes, this is appropriate for the documentary, because I was 100% myself, and I thought I would be honest to talk about my full life. Yeah, I was embarrassed to talk about it because I don't want the world to know my story and shit. And it was like, at the time, I didn't want to talk about it. But a documentary is about someone's life, good or for bad. A documentary is just you document my life from the past, where we came from, you know? I mean, Joel was shocked about the whole thing. And Joel was very respectful for it, with the camera and stuff. And he was very respectful. I mean, he was like, you don't have to get into full detail. If you want, you could just briefly say about it in the documentary. Then I had something in my gut and just said, we should just talk about it, just do that section of the documentary, just let it out, and just, because it was a thing in the past, you know? So he started filming, and I discussed it, and y'all saw that. Then after that, after we were done filming for the day, we just talked about it, and I got into further detail about it. It will be too much information, and the documentary it was like on a time frame, and I couldn't fit the whole story inside the documentary. It was only like the main parts of the documentary, so we could be able to make the documentary like an hour and a half, or like, I don't know exactly how long the documentary is. And we just talked about it, and it was just, Joel was just shookened up about it. And after the documentary was filmed, I started looking at life a different way. I was like, I stopped deleting all my old videos and stuff, because that's history, and we just making history, and I just learned to like accept the fact and move on. But with this whole thing, after the documentary, when Joel was saying I did a documentary on a goth person in 2012. I had no idea it was the Gothic King Cobra. So I had this vision. I was like, oh shit. Because back then, me and Hudson were huge in the goth scene. In that whole, we liked goth girls. We liked gothic things. We loved goth so much. And we were like, oh shit, Joel, you did a documentary of a badass gothic person. I had no idea the Gothic King Cobra was just like us. But we for months, me and Hudson were talking about, damn, the word Gothic King Cobra seemed very intimidating. I thought it was like, this dude is a badass. Joel, let me see the documentary. Then finally he sent the documentary, and I was like, oh. It's a gothic version of y'all, pretty much, at the time. Because after he showed me the documentary and stuff, I did not inspect it to see the Gothic King Cobra like that. Oh, it's an autistic. I was like, oh. Then I was like beginning to see the Gothic King Cobra's YouTube channel, and I was like, oh, this guy pulls the autism card. This guy pulls anything with autism. Like the things that I remember him saying, that with all his trolls, he could kill somebody and get away with it, and all he could say is, I'm autistic, and he'll get away with everything. I mean, it's just like, I thought to myself at the time, what a coward. That's some bitch ass shit. This guy's a poser. So I was like, that ruined, after the Gothic King Cobra and stuff, that ruined the goth for me and Hudson. We still like gothic chicks and emo scene chicks, but we were not hugely fixated on them as before we met the King Cobra. And it just ruined that image for me and Hudson. We were like, then in 2020, in 2019, the Gothic King Cobra and us, we beefed and stuff. It was like just a shit show. He took it personally. Me and Hudson, of course, make it entertaining, and we roasted his ass. And I was like, wow, this is a poser. This is, in the autistic community, this is pretty much, people have told me, he's pretty much a gothic version of y'all. I know that ruined everything. And I was like, I'm going to try to separate myself from him, from his channel, to get as further away from his channel. Then with the whole Gothic D, Sega, it was just a shit show on wheels. Literally, a shit show. And yeah, y'all heard my response about the Gothic D Sega. It was basically, and I've launched an investigation on that, and my results came out already. So basically, the Gothic King Cobra said hi and did a shout out, and this turned into a turmoil, and the investigation concluded both of them were wrong, because for number one, the Gothic King Cobra attacked Gothic D, and Gothic D attacked the King Cobra, and the Gothic King Cobra got the adrenaline off of that. Oh, look, a Gothic chick is paying attention to me, and he got his attention, what he wanted. Thank you for watching.